Okay. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Well, my name is Tania Casaya. I will talk to you a little bit about the extension research, specifically in technical assistance and impacts on production. This is part of the work we are doing here in Valles Altos. Valles Altos is Mexico, Hidalgo, Puebla, Tlaxcala, and Mexico City area. So the information I will show you today is about all this big, different, and complex area. First of all, I would like to do a review of the concept of extensionism. This concept was first used in the 18th century in Europe and also in the United States, very related with the needs of agricultural families and also social context. By definition, extension is about demonstration, technical assistance, transfer of information and skills, training, dissemination of technology and knowledge, communication, and intervention. In the conventional sense, has apparently lost importance as it is often associated with the inefficiency and the lack of government and structures. These have been associated with the transfer of technology, a very vertical model about the technician, information from technician to the farmers. But recently, and not only in CIMID or the discussions with socioeconomical program, it has evolved more to concept for knowledge management, a more participatory process or learning process. Therefore, there are some other discussions on rural services provision target, like privatization of the public sector, the role of services provision of poverty reduction strategies, or financing of services now in times where budgets are more and more struggling in our countries. Also, the discussion about the different concepts, extension, do we call them extensionisms or promoters? That's kind of the things we are living in the hub. Specifically in Mexico, it was first used during the 50s. It was very related with the INIFAB Foundation and also the Green Revolution movement. And it was brought from the United States extension model. Farmers, usually farmers receive technical assistance as part of their participation in several programs here in Mexico. And the professional services is focused on specific topics, mainly strategic planning, project formulation, access to public resources, technical advices, and business strategy. These leave us a very small percent, that is 1.3% of the production units in agriculture receive technical assistance from the public resources. But, well, what are we doing here in the hub model or in all this sustainable intensification program? First of all, we understand the extension has a dynamic, multi-sectoral, and multidimensional process that is inserted in different strategies, depending on a lot of factors: political, socioeconomics, agroecological environment, and also the very specific profile that of the actors that are involved. The purpose of the extension is to improve the farmers' livelihood, through a constant technical advice, generation, adaptation, and appropriation concept or model, often sustainable technologies, as well as the capacity building of the actors linking into the agri-food chain or agri-food system. This is the way we are doing extension, or part of what we are doing, the extension network analysis. The hub model increased the effectiveness of the technical systems by 10 times. It means that a farmer or the actor selected in the hub model achieve or cover even almost 11% of the product units. Specifically in Valles Altos, the more covering is in Mexico, in Estado de Mexico, with the 10% cover compared with the 1.3% of the cover that has the assistance in Mexico. Some key elements we want to rescue for all this very extensive concept of extension. First of all, we need to be very clear about the objectives and the focus population we are working with. The public policy that facilitates innovation is essential for us. Also, the decentralization. It means that we need to include more actors at different levels, federal, states, or local. The quality control, it means the measure, be measured by impacts. The accountability refers to this participation model or more inclusive way to do investigation. Also the investigation and the strengthening of institutional links throughout the innovation system. And well, this is the hub model, a lot of you already know, that give specific areas or a specific structure to do investigation, but also to be the part where the different actors are connected. They are sharing experiences, they are sharing knowledge, and also how they are adopting different technologies. This model gives us already some impacts about the extension topic. Innovation is facilitated by the number and diversity of networks. 6%, there is 6% more innovation when farmers is linked to an advisor. 11% more when farmers are linked into an extension agent or an extensionist. And 28% when it's linked to a research. So knowledge is the basis of the yield improvement, interaction is the basis of knowledge, and extension is the basis of the interactions. Here in Valles Altos, how I mentioned before, the knowledge is very important, but also the opportunity to give them this knowledge. These are the training we did in 2015 and 2017. It is distributed into the year. That is, we think is very important because of the opportunity. As you see, May, July, we began with some training, basically in technical topics, fertility, nutrition, conservation agriculture, the whole concept, pest agroecological management, calibration. It depends of if they are planting or if they are doing weed management. The differences between 2015 and 16 is that there have been shown some other topics that we as agronomists or very technical advisors, we didn't notice, but the farmers told us. That is, for example, topics about finance and basic accounting, topics about legal status or how the farmers can group. Alternative crops, also not only for rotation, but also for as a cover crop, and crop residue management. It was a new topic we didn't talk in 2015, but we did on 2016. The technical assessment during the productive cycle, it's very important. We have it here in the, I show you 2014, 15, and 16. We start giving assessment since March, when all the labor in field is beginning, and the farmers need us more when they are already planting, and also the weed management and the disease management. I put in here some other strategies here in Mexico, PMAF, PESA, or even Extensionism program, that the technicians are in field or are with the farmers until July or September, August, so they have less opportunity to advise well the farmers. These, well, the numbers are very small, but I can share with you this presentation. These are examples of how all these activities, training in the specific topics and in the specific moments, and also the present of the technician with the farmer in the specific times, are given differences in the yield. Well, this is what CIAP in irrigation and rain-fed in the Estado of Mexico, 3.5 tons per hectare in rain-fed condition, that is 75% of the area. And we have, like in Temuaya, that is maize and red-fed, we have in 2015 5.1, and in 16 4.45. The utility of this intervention was almost 1,000 more pesos in these areas, working with maize and red-fed. And these are kind of examples. In Xiautla, there's a red color number that is 300 pesos. Probably in 2016 there was a not very good year because of the price of the maize. But what I want to show you is that it is giving a very good impact, the constants and the opportunity that the technicians are having with the farmers. In Hidalgo, there are some other examples. We have in irrigation areas like Squapan, 14 or 10 tons per hectare, compared with the average for maize in irrigation, that is 7.9. Our technicians are doing a very good work with the farmers. And also in other crops like barley, the average is 2.2 tons per hectare. We have 4.5 or 6 tons per hectare in some areas like Coatepec. And in other hectares like Tolcayuca, we are almost in the average of the state, the average production, but the utility that the farmers are having is a little bit more than the normal. About technologies, I talk about different moments where the technicians are with the farmers, and they are all the time trying to improve or to teach them different technologies. This is from CEP, Socioeconomical Program. They didn't found no statistically significant differences if the farmers are using 1 or 2 or 3 technologies. But it was not statistically significant. But we noticed, this is from extension areas, even if there is no statistical differences, we found, for example, 4.6 tons per hectare compared with less than a ton when farmers are using 1 or 2 technologies. So we are working on this. We know that we need to be more specific, or with more do more studies about this with detail. But this difference in yielding is given difference in the money that the farmers are taking to their families. Another impact is, if we want to understand the agriculture has a commercial activity, that is, the return on investment. The interaction between farmer and extension agent is linked to an increase of more than a ton per hectare. It represents more or less 5,000 pesos per hectare. And the system, or the model that is very related with the innovation system, in the traditional Mexican extension programs, they are working with very good farmers, or the average farmer that is probably doing an acceptance innovation activities, 54% of innovation, and is getting almost 6 tons per hectare. But this farmer is not linked with no one else, no actor, no research institution. And in the hub model, or all this interaction we are promoting between the actors, the farmer with we are working is probably less innovating than the common one, 34% innovation, and he also get less production or less yield, but is related with platforms, with investigation, and also is related or is given information or sharing information with another farmers. So this is a very close number of the one extension agent is cost for public programs almost 157,000 pesos per year. So if this extension agent works with this farmer, is only getting 28,000 pesos per hectare. Instead, if he's working with this kind of farmers, that is giving the return of this investment of 300,000 pesos per hectare. Well, this is another way to understand how we can return this kind of investments in terms of assistance. This is from Valles Altos Grano Pequeño. The technology they are using is giving differences in the incomes or the utility or the activity. For example, the use of a specific variety is given almost 3,000 pesos compared with the topological arrangement, that is, it means about the line planting. Is it okay? Another examples that we found in the BEM or in the Bitácora is the planting date. For example, in some extension areas, specifically for barley, 1 month difference gives 900 kilograms, a difference of almost a ton, or the use of specific technologies for for management of pests management, for example, the use of pheromones or the insecticide application. All this information we are trying to give to talk or discuss with the technicians, because it gives us a more focus on training topics. We identify where is the opportunity, and also make assistance more efficient. It means the moment where the assistance or the technician must be with the farmer. Some things we have learned from all these activities. Once some specific training, even more marketing and organizational topics are demanded by the farmers. We understand that there is not enough if we can help them to get more yield, but if they don't have where to sell it, it doesn't have it doesn't mean for them. Discuss intervention of technology. We are promoting between our network analysis groups and discussion with farmers and technicians. And another learn is ensure certain knowledge in farmers to facilitate the adoption of more complex technology. For example, conservation agriculture. We found that sometimes if the farmer is not given in the traditional system a very well managed, for example, in wheat, when they change into conservation agriculture and the wheat management is totally different, we assume that they will be very easy to do or to use different products or doses or this kind of assessments, but sometimes they don't know how to use these spray machines in their conventional activities. So we need to give a step back and ensure that they are doing a very well production in the traditional system, so they can do a step forward. Where are we heading? First, understand or incorporate another extension schemes where the farmers are more participatory or more active. For example, Educampo, that is one of the programs here in Mexico, or programs where promotes farmers, that the farmer is given this kind of assessment or technical assessment to another group of farmers. And also the information analysis and feedback with the technicians, because of all the information from BEM or the ODK, that is another system we are using to monitoring and evaluation, has a monitoring and evaluation tools. We need to give them or to discuss what is happening out there and what we can do in terms of training or specific assessment or specific activities with the farmers. I would like to show you some pictures, some activities we're doing. These are demonstration activities or training in Tlaxcala, Puebla, Estado de Mexico. Some in platforms that they are a very specific area where the farmers will, they are almost, they are very close, and they're asking a lot about what is happening, what have we found about technologies, and also some demonstration about machinery or training about quality and grains. And this is part of the activities that technicians are doing in fields with the farmers. So with these pictures, I wanted to show you a little bit of what we are doing out there. The increase in yield production we found that it's a little bit, but the most impact is about the cost reduction. with some of the farmers, specifically in the irrigation areas, for example, Hidalgo. And well, I don't know if you have any questions so far before I say thank you for coming. Doctor.
I have two questions. The first one is on your SIP slide. The number of observations are in small. In fact, one of the things in Masagro is the volume of observation you could do. Are we missing some opportunities there on working on such a small subsample?
In this one?
Yeah, that one. You see, we have N, 16, 22, 15, 4. This is very small compared to the, I would say, the extent of Masagro activities.
Well,
why?
This specific is because SEP help us to do several analyses, and they divide in terms of crop and the area, and then some analysis more specific in municipal level. So probably this is from the Grano Pequeño hub that is smaller than Valles Altos Maize, and is very specific on the Hidalgo samples we have. So I agree with you. We have in Masagro a very big data, but we want to understand better in more specific local. Probably we need to have more plots on that area. I understand that. And
because, I mean, it looks like you have a lot of noise given your confidence interval. But if I understand well, it's the combination of technologies, not specific technologies.
Yeah, exactly. It's a combination. For example, even the 22 that shows they are using only one is not the same one. Yeah. Some of them are using fertility, some of them are using varieties. So yeah,
but is it based on observation on the spontaneous adoption, or it's more on demonstration and co-experiment you are doing with farmers?
No, this is from extension areas. Okay. That is of the adoption that the farmer shows or
so then, I mean, matching that with adoption figures would be quite interesting to look at. The second one is on the return on investment on specific technologies, and you had pheromone traps and insecticide application. That's in pesos, no?
In pesos.
Well, I believe that. I mean, I don't know how many observations you have there, but I believe that you are not far from being having a non-significant effect of the technology if you look at the statistics. Yeah. It's very low, right? Compared to the planting, which if you express it in pesos would be much larger than. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Por allá, Simón.
Mentioned a lot of percentage innovation, but what exactly is a percentage of innovation?
Is the you mean about this? So sorry. That one, percentage of innovation. It is measured about the activities. Well, innovation or technologies is a group of knowledge, techniques, and methodology that someone is using. The percentage of innovation try to measure something that they are doing different from one year to another one, or from a certain time period of time. So 54% of innovation means that that farmer in his plot or agricultural activity is inserting 50% things new, or is very open to the new things in terms of new varieties or different ways to do fertilize or fertility topics, or a lot of techniques or technologies I don't know if I can understand.
Is the idea that you offer 10 things to this guy and he accepts 5.4 of them? That's the idea?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
but exactly.
Right.
Well,
Right.
this is from Siestam, Dr. Random analysis. They also are putting in this count the open that the farmers has to learn new things, the way they are improving things all the time. It's not only I show you 10 and you took 5, and then you realize that only 2 of those 5 is giving you a specific benefit. It's more complex, the percentage of innovation that we are measuring. Mm-hmm.
But I believe, I mean, the objective is to get, well, income increase and or resilience or whatever you're looking in those systems. Then what's your targeting strategy or and recommendation domains for technology? Because, well, I understand the value of testing multiple technologies and the combination with farmers, co-experimentation of that. But in the meantime, if you present too many technologies, that's why we have seen in South Asia as well, can be in fact a distraction that you are not, betting on the best one and just trying a multiple, and you get farmer confused on what to do and not to do, in fact.
Yeah, that's part of the learning last slide. At the beginning, we tried to implement several technologies. And when we try to took this result to another, we didn't know what was given that specific effect. That's why now we are more discussing between farmers and technicians to better understand and to do to achieve specific problems. For example, the problem is with management. Okay, we're testing the residue, the cover residue, and some specific product. So we can understand if the residue is given a significant or an important result with management mixed with that kind of product, or not doing at all. Yeah, we know we are working with a very large
and sometimes, I mean,
list of technologies.
That issue is how you define, and it's not specific to Masagro, but the metrics of success of a project. If your metric of success is the number of technology, it might be misleading. I mean, it's, better achieve high impact in farmers' fields with one technology than develop 10 or 15 technologies.
Victor, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what Bruno was saying as well. And something that really called my attention was at the beginning of the presentation, you said that the HOV model increases the efficiency of technical assistance by 10 times. So I think this is a very impressive statement, but I would really like to understand, how you measure this 10 times increase in extension effectiveness.
This slide shows that, for example, here you have, well, the the conventional system are working with one farmer, for example, and we, with one module, we are impact 12 farmers. That is kind of the impact or the differences we are doing.
So it's based on the number of farmers that actually receive
the number of
technical
actors
assistance.
that are involved into the extension system or model.
Yeah. So in short, Ricardo, what is highlighted here is the way in which the project targets farmers, saying that their ability to convince or to bring other farmers to the system is a very important factor for us to choose those farmers, as opposed to choosing who is already a guaranteed good farmer, which is with other regular extension programs too. They go for the good farmer because it gives big numbers. So the regular program of Sagarpa would say, I have worked with 100 farmers and the average yield is this one. So it's probably higher than ours, but we do reach more farmers. And by reaching more, you reach productivity in general or production in general. Coming back to what Bruno was saying, this slide is also raising questions in my mind all the time. I think we should understand what is this innovation index by Chapingo. How do they design it? I discussed this with Roberto, and he gave me a very brief summary, but he told me it's not the number of technologies that you adopt, is do you look for innovation? Who do you ask? What other innovations do you uptake in your life apart from agriculture? So he tries to have a complex picture so that he understands how open is someone to adopt change. And that's kind of that index. And the well, it's up to 100. No, it's I don't know how is he asking the questions. He asks several questions and then he gets a number and a range. And the interesting thing, as you were saying, would be to relate innovation index with utility. So you would have an idea of how important it is to have a high number in innovation, or maybe by having a more modest number, you might have a better utility and be more successful. So that success indicators are subject to review, and I think it's a good exercise that we should do. And I have another question. I have a question actually for Tania, and it's whenever you decide that there is one specific recommendation that would be useful for specific farmers, I understand that we go towards providing site-specific or farmer-specific recommendations, but that's very difficult when you have thousands of farmers. So how do you group them, or how do you provide this kind of advice that would make them increase their yield, their productivity?
No, the assessment, the technical assessment with these farmers is that kind of specific. I show you the number of visits that technicians did during the year. This is in a specific with a specific farmer, given a specific advices. What we are trying to do is that this advice may work for another farmer that didn't show that problem. Farmers need to be connected, to communicate between them. So that is why this kind of small groups with module and extension area farmers, at least twice in a year, so they can talk between them what their problems, their mistakes, and their good things they are doing in production. And the technician is leading this discuss, giving or explaining some concepts probably the farmers didn't understand well, and also giving some extra advices. But you asked how we can do more general this kind of advices. We can't, because even the farmers around CIMIT, Santiago, Porfirio, Fernando, they have different, they are very different in their production. So Tonio can give the same advice to Fernando and Santiago that is in temp and rain-fed condition, and Fernando is in irrigation condition. So that is the challenge for the technicians, that they have to understand concepts. They have to be training very constant, so they can be they can have more knowledge to understand or to give a specific advice for a specific
But my question was more about if we can change. I think that to date we basically group farmers by their location, because it's, I mean, you make a group together and then you explain the different technologies, the different observations that you have done, that you have seen in the Bitácoras. But would it be possible or beneficial to group them by constraint, like to understand who are the farmers that are not planting at the suitable date, who are not the farmers who are not making use of right available varieties? And can you group those groups maybe and do some very specific learnings in that sense? Maybe that's something that...
maybe it can work.
That's where lateral learning is very important in civic, and it's not happening. That's the typology work that's done in Guatemala, in South Asia, and in Africa. It's exactly that. You know? Finding, in fact, types of farms where you can have more targeted advice based on the farm type. Yeah, it's absolutely, I think it's critical for you. Talk with Santiago Lopez Ulloa.
And also, I think it would be interesting to do a disaggregation based on full-time farmers and part-time farmers, because both for recommendations and for the analysis, I think would be interesting. And in fact, I hadn't really thought about it, but perhaps the part-time farmers, they'd have less opportunity in the field, but maybe they are more sensitized to doing more things, you know, to increase their opportunities by having more jobs or more opportunities. And so it would be an interesting.
That's a good idea. We didn't do this segregation. Another question. I don't know if people is connected have some questions. No. Okay.
In the state of Mexico, there's Ecomex. Do you guys do any work with them? How did
Ecomex.
How does your work overlap or not?
Yeah, we are, Ecomex is part of our main actors in Estado de Mexico. The technicians that they have been trained with CIMIT, with Mesagro program, and some of the modules or in extension areas, they are given the assistance. They are part of us. We are sharing the model and all these concepts. Yeah.
So do you think someday you can pull out and Ecomex will do it all? Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's the idea, to work with the actors in the areas, INIFAPs, Ecomex, government or programs. So if we can leave, they can have this methodology and these points of view when they are doing extension. Yeah. Something else? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you very much.